Welcome back to this series on Motivic Improv. So in our first video, we went over the why and the how of this kind of improv, some basic techniques for motif development shown here, and we also went over exactly how to practice melodic variation using the same shape. Now let's continue with a second exercise on melodic variation using the opposite shape. So here we're again keeping the same rhythm, but this time changing the shape of the motif upside down. I'll be using the same musical setting for this one, but a different motif. So this example motif is 4/8 notes, and as you can see the shape is 3 notes in a row going up instead of jumping up, followed by a jump downwards. So if we turn this upside down, the shape will be 3 notes in a row going downwards, followed by a jump up. And we can use the same basic plan as before, starting with the motif, playing some variations, and returning to the original motif. So here's a demonstration. And now try this one for yourself. Again, this exercise plan and backing tracks are linked below. Also remember, it's important to record yourself to listen back and evaluate how successful you were in this exercise. In other words, did you use accurately the opposite shape for each of the 3 variations? And were you able to remember and reproduce the original motif at the end? If you had trouble with this, again, go back and try a simpler musical setting. If this was too easy, you can try a more complex musical setting and/or a more complex motif. Alright, so that was melodic variation using the opposite shape. Now let's move on to free shape. Like other melodic variation techniques, we're going to preserve the rhythm of the original motif. So here's an example, again from All of Me. This is from 8 bars from the end, and you can see the rhythm written out here. This time, instead of preserving the shape or flipping the shape upside down, we're going to use any notes at all. As you can see in these examples, we're not using the same shape as the original motif, we're not using the same shape upside down, but we're actually using any notes at all. So the only thing we're preserving is the rhythm. Alright, so here's an example of exercise number 3 using the free shape. And again, we'll use the same basic plan, starting with the motif, 3 different variations, and repeating the original motif. I hope you could hear that original rhythm throughout. So now try this yourself, and again, listen back and evaluate. Alright, so those are the basic techniques of melodic variation. After you've tried all 3 of these, it makes sense to try another exercise that combines them. Here is exercise number 4, written out for a 32-bar song form. However, you can also use this with a single chord vamp, or with a 4 or 8-bar looped progression. As you can see, the first 8-bar section has you using melodic variation with the same shape, the second section uses opposite shape, the third uses different shape, aka free shape, and the 4th section combines all of the above. Again, only try this after you've comfortably been able to play all 3 of these variation techniques by themselves. Note that depending on what song you use, when you repeat the original motif, you may wind up having to change some of the notes slightly to fit the chord at that moment. Technically, this will be like a melodic variation using the same shape, rather than the original motif verbatim. For example, with All of Me, it turns out all of the bars marked motif have the same chord, namely the 1 chord, with the exception of the circled bar here. In the 9th bar, the chord is 3/7. Again, it only makes sense to use an actual song for this if you're able to identify the chords pretty easily in this fashion. So here's an example of how this would work over a song form, in this case All of Me, and listen carefully for the original motif in the 1st bar. So that may have sounded deceptively easy, but there was actually a lot of thought and attention involved. Remember to be patient with yourself when you try this exercise number 4, and again, make sure you practice just the same shape, the opposite shape, the free shape by themselves first. If it's too much to think about all 3 of these in the same exercise, then don't worry about it. Next time we'll continue with one more exercise to tie together these various techniques of melodic variation, and then we'll go on to rhythmic variation. Leave any questions in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the SacJEF channel to be notified when the next video comes out. Stay tuned.